why you're not succeeding in music despite having all the resources and despite all the reasons that you should. I'm gonna explain it now. You're gonna want to save this video and watch it multiple times because it's about to change your life. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you don't think you can, you almost certainly won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. This is 100% true, and I'm going to prove it right now. Okay, think of the color red. Hold that thought in your mind and look around the room. Notice you're seeing all these red things that you didn't notice were there before. Really notice that. It's crazy how many red things you've seen. Okay, now notice how many of those things you thought were red are actually pink or light brown, but your mind interpreted it as red. That's crazy, isn't it? Right, now let's hone in on the color blue. Hold that thought in your mind, the color blue. Really focus on that and look around. Yep, I'm seeing blue everywhere. All this blue that I just didn't see before. Keep looking around. Oh, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So you will see whatever you focus on. And whatever you believe in your mind is what you will continue to find and what you will continue to look for. How does this apply to guitar? Well, it applies to everything. If you have a limiting belief about guitar or music relating to yourself, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm not good at music because of this, I'm not from a musical family, I'm dyslexic, I can't because of this, I can't because of that. If you have any kind of negative or limiting belief around guitar, that music is for other people, it's not for me, that I can't do it or I don't deserve to have this, you will not succeed. You will not reach your full potential. You'll get so far and then you'll fall down. Then you'll get a little bit further and then you'll fall down. And you have this constant up and down journey, or you'll just give up altogether. And so what we're going to do now is a little test to see if you are burdened with a limiting belief or a negative belief around music that is holding you back. Because if it is, what's likely happening is you're taking all the right action, you're doing all the right things, but then your mind is going to step in and put the brakes on and say, no, this isn't for me. Even if it's unconsciously, you're going to put the brakes on. Because if you then became really good at music, that would clash with your core belief. And your core beliefs are linked to our sense of identity and our survival. A good example of this is if I were to tell you now that black is green, you're not going to want to believe that. Because if you believe that, now you'd have to face the idea that your whole life is a lie. Maybe water's poison. Maybe the earth isn't secure and it's going to fall from underneath my feet and I will be swallowed by the ground. So that belief that green is green gives me a sense of certainty. And so taking away my certainty is dangerous. Removing a deep-seated belief is dangerous. It's not actually dangerous, but it feels dangerous to that primal part of us that doesn't know better. And the other part of it is it becomes part of our story. whether it's a positive story or a negative story, right? So let's say that I believe I'm not good at sport, and maybe I'm not from a very athletic family. Maybe when I was 7, I got picked last to play, I don't know, rugby. And so I've now decided from these very, very, very limited amounts of evidence that I'm not good at sport. And so I spend my whole life saying, I'm not good at sport. That becomes part of my story, becomes a part of me, becomes part of my identity. I'm the guy who's not good at sport. And then someone comes along and says, hey, Luke, it doesn't have to be that way. I have this one thing that will completely transform that for you. And I'm gonna give it to you. This one very simple thing that will completely change that and mean that you're now great at sport. Well, I'm not gonna take it. I'll be like, no, I can't. That clashes with the belief. It clashes with the story. It clashes with the identity of not being good at sport, because now I can no longer tell that story that I'm not good at sport. And so without that story, well, I don't know who I am anymore. One thing I've seen quite often is adults and sometimes kids who were told by a music teacher in school that they're not good at music. You have to understand the context there. If it's not explained by the right person in the right way, it won't make sense, right? I'm severely dyslexic and I have slow processing. And so in school and college and in university, a lot of it didn't make any sense to me until I was told in the right way by the right people who understood the dyslexic mind and broke it down in the right way. So if you threw me back in that classroom when I was that age, you'd notice I was just the same. I didn't have a clue what was going on either. And that's okay. Some of those kids might have been having music lessons since the age of 3. Some of them could have been learning piano since the age of 5. Right? You don't know what the situation is. And in a class, it's really difficult for a teacher to get that into everyone's mind and to work with everybody's different, unique learning styles. So that comment that teacher said 20 years ago is completely meaningless. Or if you're young yourself, that teacher said 6 months ago, it's meaningless because they're not catering to your unique learning style, and they're not catering to where you're at in your musical journey. It has not been tailor-made for you. Whereas those kids who've had piano lessons since the age of 5, they've had one-to-one private lessons that were tailored to them. So if you take action whilst believing you can't do it, essentially you're pressing the accelerator and the brakes at the same time. And if you do that in a car, you won't get far. Okay, so I want you to really clear your mind now. Maybe take some deep breaths and get really just centered and relaxed in the moment, and not to be thinking too much, right? Just really get grounded. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to just give a simple yes or no. The very first answer that pops into your head, just say it out loud and keep track of what the answer was. Don't say what you think you should be saying. Don't analyze it and start weighing up all the different things that you might say. Just fire off the first answer, because that is going to be your subconscious talking to you and telling you what you really believe about yourself. And if we don't find the belief, we won't be able to fix the pattern. Okay, so get ready, get grounded and centered, and I want you to just respond straight away. Ready? Are you a musician? Okay, so notice what just happened there. If you said yes straight away, that's good. That means you have a positive feeling towards music and towards your worthiness of being a musician and reaching your full potential. If you paused and had to think about it and you didn't answer straight away, that's not ideal. That means there is some limitation there, and we're going to have to explore that a little bit further. If you said, if you ask me now if this hoodie is pink, would I stop and go, So that again is a sign that no, you don't believe it, or maybe you somewhat do, but there's a little bit of a clash going on with the different paradigms, in which case, again, it's not ideal, but understand this is completely normal. I'm going to show you how to fix that. If you said no, that means there's a limiting belief around music and you don't believe that you are worthy enough to have this, or you don't believe you're good enough to do that. And again, this is completely normal and we all have limiting beliefs somewhere. And of course, these beliefs are completely irrational, or you wouldn't be having music lessons. Unless you physically don't have hands, then you can do it. And even then, there are still people who can, okay? So you are absolutely worthy, but we're going to work with this now. I'm now going to give you a statement and you are going to say true or false. Again, don't say what you think you should say. Don't say what you think I want you to say. No, you're just going to say whatever pops into your mind. I want you to say true or false. So here we go. Guitar is fun. Okay? Now I'm going to say another statement. And again, I'd like you to just say true or false. Guitar is painful and stressful. Notice what just happened there. Which of those statements felt true? Do you feel that guitar is fun? Or did you say, did you hesitate, or did you say no? If so, you have an unhelpful, limiting belief towards guitar. And I will show you exactly how to fix that further into the video. Did you say guitar is stressful? Did you agree with that? Or do you say that it's not stressful and it's not painful? So if you feel that guitar is stressful and painful, you have a negative feeling towards it, it's not ideal, because whatever you believe, you are going to be looking for the evidence that it's true. Just like when you were looking around the room, some of those colors were pink, some of them were brown, some of them could have been maroon, but your mind decided that they were red because it was looking for evidence of all the things that are red in the room. So what will happen is, if you believe that you are not good, or you are not worthy, or that it is a struggle and it's painful, guess what? That's what you're going to be seeing. You cannot be pressing the accelerator and the brake at the same time. You have to remove the brakes and put on the accelerator. The car will not go if you're hitting the brake and the accelerator. I mean, yes, you can actually drive with the handbrake on. I've done it a bunch of times, and then the car started beeping and it didn't feel right. And I was like, oh, I've got to stop that now. You can get somewhere, but you can't get far. Whatever you believe about music and about yourself, you're going to look for evidence. You are going to find it as well. And you are actually going to sabotage your success by creating the evidence if you can't find it. Okay? But fear not, because what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you the blueprint on exactly how to fix it. So what you have to do is find what the most negative belief was. You could say the positive belief again and then listen to the little voices coming up. There will be a particular phrase that keeps coming up that hurts the most, which could be like, I suck at guitar, right? Find what it is, okay? Ask yourself why. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel I'm not worthy of being a good musician? Why can't I do it? Keep asking, and then you'll find the most painful belief. Then what we're going to do then is look for the most positive belief. Look for the opposite of that. Well, what is the opposite belief that makes you feel really good? So it wants to be, I'm good at music or guitar, followed by, I love it and enjoy it. Because if you think you're good at it, but you think it's difficult and stressful, again, you've got that accelerator and brakes on at the same time effect. So it has to be something like, I'm amazing at music. Guitar is fun, right? Something that really fills you with energy. The statement that really does. And what you're going to do is every day, first thing in the morning, or find a time that's really good for you. I do it while the coffee's brewing in the morning. I'll just step outside and let the daylight hit me before I've even looked at my phone or anything. And I will allow that daylight to hit me, which feels amazing. It resets the circadian rhythm, and I stand tall, put my arms up high, and I say the affirmations of what I want to program into myself. So that could be something along the lines of, I'm really good at music. Guitar is fun. Stand in a powerful position. Get your feet a good shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more. Arms up as though you're just about to confront a bear. And you say it. Because when you stand like this, it's very hard not to feel good. So you're now attaching a good, positive feeling to the statement that you now want to believe. Because if you say it like this, yeah, I love playing guitar. Guitar is really fun. I'm a good musician. Like, no, that's not going to work. You can't stand like this. You've got to stand upright, chest forward, arms up, really in a powerful position when you say it. And that is how you can fix any limiting belief about anything. Now, you don't have to go and do it outside like I do. That's just my preference. You could do it in the house or wherever. And you don't need to necessarily say it out loud if like your mum's in the next room or if your dog's listening. You could just stand up tall and whisper it or even think it very, very intentionally in your mind. The most important thing is that you associate that really good feeling with the new positive belief that you are programming into yourself every single day. You may find that if your arms are up for a long period of time, your shoulders begin to hurt, in which case, drop the arms down, keep the chest forward, keep upright, keep your feet a shoulder width apart, and make sure that you're breathing deeply and that you feel good. Another thing I'd like you to do is set reminders on your phone that will go off 2 to 3 times a day of the belief condensed down into one line. Whatever it is that makes you feel really, really good. It could be, I'm a musician. It could be, I'm a good musician. It could be, I love playing guitar. Whatever it is, put it into a one-line reminder that lights up your phone 2 to 3 times per day. What's really important to understand is that your success or failure has nothing to do with who you are and everything to do with what you do. If you do the right things, you will get the results. Now, occasionally, I see students who are not taking enough action, who are putting on the brakes, who actually do believe that they are a musician and they do believe that they're good at guitar. So what's going on there? Well, in one case, I saw a student who said, I'm not good at seeing things through. So if he was to now see it through and put the effort in, that would clash with his belief about himself. He overcame that. Another one I saw was a student who believed that he is a musician. And he believed that he is a guitarist. But he also believes he's not popular. What's that got to do with guitar? Everything. Because if he then took action and became really good at guitar, he would become popular, which would then clash with the story that he tells himself about not being popular. Do you see how that works? So you may have to dig around a little bit to find what the actual belief is that's stopping you. And if you can't do that, then actually book in with a trained, qualified psychologist to help find what it is. Now, sometimes you come home from school or from work and you're just tired. You sit down. Okay, great. I'm just going to start scrolling on social media, playing games, watching films, TV series, or even lying down and feeling sleepy. Here's what you do. You know you should be doing something else. And that something else right now is going to be guitar practice. You count from 5 to 1. And on the count of 1, you've got to be on your feet and off you go, whether you want to or not. Because, okay, you don't feel the energy now, but once you get up and start doing it, that's when you find the energy. The energy comes to you. Also, this motivation, which is complete nonsense. Motivation is absolute rubbish. Motivation, it's not there to begin with. The motivation comes when you take action. So you go like this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you do it. You do not sit back down. You do not pick up the phone. You don't go on the computer. You don't go on the game consoles. You don't watch television, Netflix. All of that rubbish is a reward at the end of the day when you've done everything that you're supposed to do. The things that are productive, developmental, and that move your life forwards. You know, if you talk to very old people who are coming towards the end of their life, I doubt they would say, I really, really regret not scrolling enough on TikTok, not playing enough video games, not watching enough TV. Like, no, people don't regret that stuff at the end of their life. The biggest regrets you'll hear people say is, I wish I'd played a musical instrument, or I wish I'd taken up a sport while I was young and my body could do it. These are the things people will regret, not that nonsense. I mentioned earlier that there is a primal part of us that loves you but doesn't always know what's best for you. That is called the ego. And your ego does not like change, right? Your ego is the security guard, the security system that keeps you safe. And the ego's one job is to keep you safe, to keep you alive. And all the ego knows is that you're alive right now, exactly as things are. Whatever limiting beliefs you have, whatever problems you have, the ego's job is to keep everything the same. So when you start doing new practices, it will try and sabotage them. It will try and stop you. It will try, in its misguided way, to keep you safe. It wants the best for you. It loves you and it cares about you, but it doesn't always make the right decisions. And so, somewhere around day 14, it will try to rationalize why you should no longer do it. I'm tired. I'm busy. I don't have time. This is too hard. Maybe it's too easy. And it can't possibly be that simple to make such big changes. But either way, it's going to try and get you to stop. And you need to say thank you so much for caring for me and loving me. But I'll take over from here. If you miss a day, no pasa nada. It's fine. Just get back at it the next day. If you miss 2 days, not a problem. Back on it again. Don't get into the habit of missing it. Just do your absolute best to just get back on it again. We all occasionally slip, and that's just fine. Don't beat yourself up. Don't see it as a failure. Just step back on the wagon and try again. So if you do miss 2 days, it's not the end of the world, but don't do that too often. Because James Clear says in the book Atomic Habits, which I massively recommend that you read. I really do. This is so important. He says, a habit missed once is a mistake. A habit missed twice is the start of a new habit. Really think about that. So in addition to the homework that I've just set you, as well as that, I want you to be aware of another way in which you can remove limiting beliefs. And that is to build a stack of undeniable proof that that belief has no reality anymore. Let me give you a good example of moments in my life where things just completely changed, where the limiting beliefs just had the carpet pulled from underneath their feet. One of them was when I was 17 years old. I was very small for my age. I was very, very unconfident. I had been bullied a lot and I felt that I was weak. A lot of the bigger kids had pushed me all over the place, and that had been the story of my life. And one day, I was just preparing for my black belt grading in Taekwondo. I broke a board that was roughly the strength of a human skull with my hand. And when I realized this, when my instructor told me this and said that board is roughly the strength of a human skull and you just broke it, something instantly switched in my mind. And I was like, I'm strong. And when I first started my career as a guitar teacher, there was this doubt, this imposter syndrome, this, well, I was teaching in the same town as my father, and my father is a very respected teacher, and he's a very respected musician. He's a very respected person. He's a genius. And part of me believed that I was only successful because I am the son of my father. Until one day, I took grade 8 classical guitar, which is one of the hardest exams you can take, and I got a distinction. And I also took that exam in the University of West London in Ealing, where nobody knows who my dad is, and they don't know who I am either. And so there was no luck, there was no fortune, there was no secret blessing. It was all me. And once I saw that email saying, Luke, you've got a distinction, again, the doubt just disappeared. I had built an undeniable stack of evidence that that belief was disproved. The rug was pulled from under that belief now. So you don't have to go and get grade 8 with distinction. What you need to do is to build up lots and lots of small wins and continuously take the actions that a musician would take. Would a musician play Xbox when he's tired, or would a musician go and practice his guitar? He would practice his guitar. Would a musician skip all the theory and just go straight to the fun stuff and play their favorite song? No, the musician would go through the theory and the technical exercises, then play their favorite song. So each time you practice when you don't feel like practicing, you're building a stack of evidence that you're a musician. Each time you set a goal to maybe learn a technique, maybe learn a song, maybe work through a page in a method book, maybe complete a method book, maybe take an exam. Each time you do that, you're disproving the belief. And then when you actually see success, for example, you complete a method book, or you go and perform on stage and get positive feedback, or you go and take an exam and you get a reasonably good mark that's better than you expected, or you pass the exam when that little negative voice was telling you you might be unsuccessful. Each time you do that, your belief will change, and that undeniable stack of evidence will slowly but surely squash that limiting belief. And one day there will be a point where you've seen so much proof to disprove that limiting belief that you're just laughing at the way you used to think. You find it hilarious that you didn't believe in yourself. Having done sports psychology myself, I know that it's important to work on the outer and the inner, because you can gain confidence by external results like passing the exam, but you can also do it from the inside. But I know that you need to do both. And so if you're one of my students and I've sent you this video, this is what you're doing. Suck it up, buttercup. If you're watching on the internet, it's up to you what you choose to do. To do all the inner work I've set you, but also to set goals you know you can achieve and to achieve them. Now, the little voices in your head might tell you not to do it. Right? Oh, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. Like, just shush now. Do it anyway.